Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Bertrand, and I'm the founder of Dwell in Possibility Coaching and Consulting. Today, I'm going to introduce you to a reflective writing method called proprioceptive writing. This presentation is part of the 2022 Lighthouse Series of workshops hosted by True North Implementation. Proprioceptive writing can help us to better connect and engage with our thoughts and emotions. Through active reflection, we can improve our self-understanding and support significant transformations of the self. Today, I'm presenting from Edmonton, Alberta, which is located on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional gathering place for Indigenous peoples, including the Nehiawak, Niitsitapi, Métis, Nakota, Dene, and Anishinaabe. I am grateful for the privilege to live and work on this land. Linda Trichter Metcalf and Tobin Simon established what is now called proprioceptive writing in the 1970s. Linda was seeking a way to feel less alienated from herself and developed a method to access feelings and connect with them through reason and reflection. The Proprioceptive Writing Institute in New York was founded in 1982. Since then, the method has been studied by Harvard University's Graduate School of Education and has been taught within academia and in workshops around the world. Christiane Northrup suggests proprioceptive writing can lead us to develop greater self-trust as we become more self-aware and learn to tune into our thoughts and feelings. Proprioceptive writing is a tool that leaders, professionals, creators, parents, partners, and others from all walks of life can use for better health and well-being. Before getting into the details of the method, I'd like to discuss where I personally have found the most value in proprioceptive writing. A social constructionism view of the self suggests that we create our idea of self through our interactions with others. Our sense of self is situated within a particular time, place, and context, influenced by social and cultural factors, belief systems, and ideologies. In this view, what we think of as the self is not fixed. We can challenge our ideas about who we are to destabilize our current narratives and reestablish narrative coherence. Reflective writing helps us to question the narratives we form about ourselves, particular situations or events, the people in our lives, and the world around us. In the transformation through writing model, L'Engle and Mayers call the narratives we form in the face of significant challenges our first stories. If we identify these narratives and explore them more fully, we can create new narratives or second stories that better serve us and transform the way we think, work, and live. In other words, we can innovate ourselves. Proprioceptive writing is one method to help us do this. So why did Metcalf and Simon name their method proprioceptive writing? The body's proprioceptive system is how we gather and process information. Nerves called proprioceptors, located in our muscles, joints, and tendons, communicate with the brain, orienting the body to its own movement, position, and tone. This is how our body automatically knows and does things without us stopping to think, like taking a step without looking at our feet or picking up a glass of water without spilling it. The term proprioceptive in proprioceptive writing is meant as a metaphor for the mind's capacity to know itself. Through the transmission of proprioceptive information, the body has an ongoing sense of its own identity. Proprioceptive writing can teach us how to do the same thing, but with our minds. Proprioceptive writing is a simple, self-directed writing method to express and reflect upon our thoughts through writing. It is a step beyond journaling as it prompts us to engage with what we write. Although journaling in itself can be cathartic, reflective writing methods allow us to move from venting to actively processing our thoughts and emotions. Proprioceptive writing also incorporates mindfulness concepts with its emphasis on focus and acceptance. The structure of the proprioceptive method is intended to support the writing practice with a simple ritual. The writer first puts on Baroque music, lights a candle, and writes for 25 minutes on white, unlined paper. Baroque music is used because it roughly reflects the rhythm of the human pulse. It has a calming effect on the body, including lowering blood pressure. Lighting a candle helps to signify the beginning of the writing session. It creates a space for your practice, and you can blow it out when you finish to signal the end of the session. Plain paper is used to avoid the idea of structured writing. We often learn how to handwrite on lined paper and are encouraged to stay within the lines. Using white unlined paper is a kind of freedom from this constraint. Writing on one side of the paper is suggested as well, so that you can later file or organize your writes by their themes, and perhaps identify recurring feelings or thoughts you would like to explore further. The suggested length of each writing session is 25 minutes. Longer sessions may result in the mind wandering, and it's easier to fit a session of less than 30 minutes into our busy lives. The write, as it is called in proprioceptive writing, is not intended to be a published piece of work, a polished piece of work at the end of this process. The aim is to write freely and reflectively for the designated time and work towards greater self-insight. So as you are writing, there are 3 rules or guidelines to keep in mind. First, imagine your thoughts as spoken words and write them down exactly as if you could hear them as they occur, moment to moment. This can be really tricky when you're getting started, but you can use that uncertainty to practice. For example, if your first thought is, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing, write that down. Keep writing what pops into your head until it feels more natural to you. And don't worry about grammar, spelling, punctuation, logic, eloquence, etc. None of that matters for the purpose of proprioceptive writing. You're the only one who is going to see this piece of work. Second, hearing is key in proprioceptive writing. Thought can be voiced, but to hear it requires an intense, focused listening. So be curious, patient, and even-tempered with yourself. As you write down what you hear, give yourself your full attention. You can really see the mindfulness concepts in this part of the practice. Finally, be ready to ask yourself what Metcalfe and Simon call the proprioceptive question. What do I mean by? Into the blank goes whatever word, phrase, or expression catches your attention. This question helps you to explore and reflect on what you are writing as you write it. It's another attention focusing tool. The intent is to inquire about the psychological or emotional sense the word or phrase has for you, and I'll provide an example of this on the next slide. After completing your 25-minute writing session, it's time to reflect upon what you wrote. Metcalfe and Simon provide 4 concluding questions to help with this part of the process. First, were there any thoughts or feelings you had during the write that you didn't or couldn't initially write down, or that seemed irrelevant to you at the time? How would you describe your emotional state after the write? Did anything you write feel part of something larger in your life? For example, an issue at work that relates to feelings about your overall career path. And does your write make you think about any topics you'd like to write about in the future? When you finish these questions, you can blow out your candle, date your write, and store it in a folder or other location just for that purpose. Resist the urge to revise your write. It is only a snapshot of your thoughts in a particular moment and does not have to be seen by anyone but you. So here's an example of the proprioceptive questions and concluding questions from one of my very first writes. As you can see, I felt really uncomfortable with the process. I wrote down that I felt awkward and that I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. But something interesting happened as I kept writing. Gradually, the proprioceptive question I kept asking myself led me in an unexpected direction. When I asked myself what I meant by reluctant, I realized I was holding back in my writing. I was afraid about what might come up. By the end of the session, I had written about my childhood relationship with my grandfather, something I had not thought was in my mind. When I asked myself the concluding questions at the end of the write, I found a connection to the present and some lost or changing relationships with other people that I was experiencing at that time. So I started from a place of discomfort and ended in a place of revelation. In the live session of this presentation, we will be completing a group writing exercise and discussion to explore the proprioceptive writing method. Today, I'll leave you with a summary of the writing guidelines and concluding questions so that you can try your own write. First, start your music, take a moment to listen, center yourself and breathe deeply. Set a timer for 25 minutes so you don't lose track of the time. Light your candle. Start thinking about what feels important to write about in that moment. Start writing down your thoughts as you hear them. If you hear yourself saying you feel silly, write it down. Put all your focus on your thoughts and try to capture them on the page. Be ready to ask the proprioceptive question, what do I mean by? See if any words, phrases, or ideas stand out to you and dig into what they mean. When your 25 minutes is up, stop writing and ask yourself the concluding questions. See what comes up for you. Blow out your candle, date your write, and file it away in whatever method works for you. Thank you for watching today. If you're interested in learning more, I highly recommend reading Metcalfe and Simon's book, Writing the Mind Alive. You can also reach out to me directly if you're interested in guided support.